So it's high time for us to open the second session of our conference.
During the second part, the iCustoms participants will present their 12 papers.
And now we are ready to invite our next speakers, Polina Chikalova and Roman Klementiev, Russian Federation, Samara, Samara State Technical University. Applause.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and my name is Polina Chikalova, and my topic today is the concept of the single window system in customs services. According to the Comprehensive Development Program up to 2020, for the Federal Customs Service of Russian Federation, the main task should be client-orientedness and with the simultaneous increase in level of consciousness of participants in foreign trade activity. So foreign trade turnover is an important indicator since near 50% of the federal budget accounts customs revenues. Moreover, its increase and increase of level of participant satisfaction are priorities for customs activities. So directly through services, custom implements a balance between the proper level control of security and the level of liberalization of foreign trade environment. So in this slide you can see that indirectly customs services has its influence on standard of living of population and economic growth of country. So the basic criterion for their assessing the level of services quality is the satisfaction of consumers, we identified the main indicators for customers, for consumers of customs services. So these are participants which have such expenses as time, labor, and finance resources, also its level of satisfaction and investment attractiveness. For government, most importantly, it's budget revenue, security, also expenses, and corruption component. Having constructed the Cobb-Douglas function, we were looking for the dependence of the revenue on various independent factors, such as an average time of the customs operation. We have seen that it has the most influence, and let's consider this function more detailed. It has two stages. The first one is dependence of revenue on volume and value, and the volume showed the most impact on the income, so on the revenue. The second one is we had the dependence of volume on time of customers' operations and the number of participants in foreign trade activity. So the most of the average customs operation time has the greatest impact on the volume and as a result on the revenue in general. So this slide shows the Cobb-Douglas function and according to which the calculation was made, and the statistical analysis shows that the function actually works. This is line graphs of this function, and as can be seen from the above, by implementing the single window system, we influence and improve such parameters as customer satisfaction and the efficiency of customs activity by reducing the customs operation time. The slide shows the SWOT analysis of today's national single window mechanism in Russian Federation, which has some strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I would like to highlight and to pay more attention to the threats, which are unresolved issue of project financing, insufficient involvement of state bodies, and the development of local projects within the framework of individual departments rather than the creation of single window mechanism. So to conclude, the single window mechanism not only can improve the quality of customs services, but also develop international communications with foreign countries. In which country this mechanism has been realized in their own ways, and in this slide you can see Singapore's experience of the efficient implementation of TradeNet system. So thank you for your attention, and I would like to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Paulina. Any questions? All right, I guess then we're done. Thank you. Thank you once again. Our next participant is Shu Lin He, Shanghai Customs College, China. Please welcome to the stage.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to be here and share my topics. My name is Shilin He, and I'm a student of Shanghai Customs College in Shanghai. And I'm going to talking about my topic, challenge on supporting foreign trade development faced by China Customs. To begin with, there are some reasons why I try to figure out this topic. At present, 3 major new foreign trade modes have attracted much attention because foreign trade activities crossing customs territory have to be in touch with China Customs. So the customs must adjust its management to optimize the existing supervising mechanism and improve custom clearance efficiently on the principles of trade safety and security. And as for the foreign trade activities, they will increase, which finally promotes national economic development, while foreign operators can gain more trading opportunities in China. Then we should know what the new foreign trade modes in China. Before I go further, they are mainly cross-border e-commerce, marketing, procurement trade, and comprehensive foreign trade service. And as about the cross-border e-commerce, maybe all of you are familiar with that, so I will not talking about it. And the second one is marketing procurement trade. Is a Chinese-specific mode. And about the comprehensive foreign trade service is also the Chinese-specific mode. The market procurement trade is that the domestic corporators selling small commodities are allowed to be self-declaration. And the comprehensive foreign trade service are the operator can enjoy the service covering the whole supply chain from ordering to delivery. Next, I will introduce some innovation of China Customs in supporting new foreign trade development. The Customs has issued some decrees adapting to the new foreign trade modes and app-specific customs supervision methods as corresponding this most. But you can notice that comprehensive foreign trade service hasn't got its own one because it's in the very early stage of development and it's a mature. Also, there are some information integration online platforms. China Airport and also the is a marketing procurement trade is city of our China has established its own platforms to service this trade mode. Now I want to talk about two main challenges on custom management faced by China customs. The first one is the increasing difficulty and risk of customs supervision, such as the expanding trade operators and conflict between rapid customs clearance and risk control. And the second one is the customs doesn't have enough understanding of those foreign trade, like the natural and future situation. Lastly, as mentioned above, we should think about what can be done by China customs to improve customs management to support new foreign trade development. And there are three suggestions. The first one is to make great use of platforms and optimize coordination mechanism between the customs and other administrations like the taxation office and the Ministry of Commerce. Secondly, the customs can strengthen bi-directional communicate with foreign trade openers. For one thing, the customs can expand details of regulation so that the customs supervision can be run smoothly in high efficiency. For another, the operators are able to tell the customs about their actual situation and expectations for customs clearance. Just like the first global cross-border e-commerce conference held in China this year, this is a great conservation platform. Certainly, it is better to improve law enforcement capacity of customs officers by holding training courses and seminars. By doing this, the customs officers are likely to be more easily recognized whether declarations filed in are correct and what goods can be claimed without any risk in a quick time, which eventually reach global aim on keeping balance between trade facilitation and security. So that's all my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And any questions from the jury, from the audience? No? Thank you.
Okay, if you are interested in my topic, you can talk with me later. Thank you.
So our next speaker is Marina Kozlova, Russian Federation, St. Petersburg, ITMO University.
Good afternoon, dear guests. My name is Marina Kozlova, and the theme of my research is customs authorities as active participants in the development of foreign trade, on the example of Russia and Iran. So the cooperation of customs authorities of different countries is the key to international economic integration of different states, which leads to increase in volume trade, labor productivity, migration of labor flows. This research was undertaken to identify the level of participation and role of customs authorities in the bilateral trade of different countries, on the example of Russia and Iran. As you know, in recent years, the Russian Federation has actively been developed the trade economic, science technical and humanitarian ties with countries of Western Asia, including the Islamic Republic of Iran. The main benefits of this cooperation you can see on the slide. Consequently, it has the significant potential for the entry to the Russian market, but however, the share of Iranian goods now in the trade turnover is only 0.3% on average. Based on the dynamics of foreign trade indicators since 1995, it's clear that during the liberalization of foreign trade of Russian Federation, the volume of bilateral trade had been insignificant. But in the early 2000s, the volume of Russian Federation export to Iran had begun to increase, and from 2007 to 2011, there was a period of the largest trade turnover between the countries. Then there had been decline in export until 2015. In 2016, the figures almost doubled with comparison with the previous year by 87%. And in 2017, there was a decrease in Russian exports to Iran again. Also, I want to show you the main exports and imports of the Russian Federation to Iran. As we can see, the significant part on the exports and imports accounts plant products with a limited shelf life. So to solve this problem, in 2000s, the governments of the Russian Federation Republic. So at the moment, the transportation of plant products is carried out mainly by sea. So it's a blue line on the picture, and the delivery period by this way taking about 2 months. So to solve this problem, the governments of Russian Federation, Islamic Republic of Iran, Republic of India and Sultanate of Oman signed the agreement on International North-South Transport Corridor. This corridor will help increase the volume of passengers and goods as well, and to minimize the transportation costs. So also the development of Russian-Iranian relations also take place in the frameworks of their participants on 2 countries in free economic zones located in Armenia, one of the Eurasian Economic Union member states. Iranian and Russian producers have the possibility to invest in their constructions of their subsidiaries, and the main benefits and the main goal you can see on the slide. Also, negotiations on the establishment of free trade zone between Eurasian Economic Union and Iran were underway at the interstate level. This implies the mutual reduction of import duties, taxes, and quantity restrictions. As you know, last week the Eurasian Economic Union and Iran signed the temporary agreement on a free trade zone between Eurasian Economic Union and Iran. Now the agreement includes the initial list of goods for which import duties and mutual trade will be reduced or eliminated after the agreement enters into force. The coverage of agreement is 50% of the volume of mutual trade. As we can see, the Russian-Iranian relations have a legislative base at the highest level, but we can't ignore the fact that cooperation of customs authorities is also very important in this problem. In this regard, in 2016, the representative of customs authorities of Russia and Iran signed a protocol about the organization of preliminary information on goods and vehicles moved through the border. It calls simplified customs corridor. And also in 2016, there was signed the agreement between governments of our countries on the cooperation and mutual administrative assistance between Russia and Iran. So the main directions of these agreements and protocol you can see on the slide. These agreements will accelerate the customs operations as well as technical assistance in the customs sphere. So as we can see, the cooperation in the sphere of foreign trade between Russia and Iran is actively developing. Both countries trying to to increase the volume of mutual trade, and not only the intergovernmental agreements are important in this process, but also the implementation of customs legislation of both countries. In this regard, customs services carry out different measures. They organize the exchange of preliminary information on goods and vehicles, also the information and experience and change on the use of technical means of customs control. They unite computer systems of two countries, and also they hold visit exchange of customs authorities. And in conclusion, I also would like to say that, to my mind, the proposed measures could be effective only with attitude of trust between the customs authorities of the two states. So that's all. Thank you for attention. You are welcome to ask questions.
Ros. Thank you very much for your presentation. Open, please, then slide 9. Explain us what some aspects about these metrics. What's the title of the line?
You mean title, why it calls cooperation of customs authorities?
No, the two lines. One line and second line, horizontal and vertical. Yes.
Oh,
it's classification.
No, it's just directions of the cooperations according to the protocol and agreement of governments of Iran and Russia, and it's just some things that were mentioned in this
some
document.
Aspects.
Yes, some aspects.
Okay, thank you.
It doesn't depend on each other. So.
Thank you.
That's all we have. No more questions. Yeah. I guess thank you once again, Marina, for your presentation. It's time for us to announce our next speaker, and please welcome to the stage. Please welcome to the stage Václav Jan Klocek, Poland, Warsaw School of Economics.
So, good afternoon, my colleagues and professors. My name is Václav Klocek, and today I'd like to talk about the implementation process of IT solutions in the Polish Customs Administration. And the agenda of my presentation is, after introduction, I will talk about the most important information system for our administration. Then I present one project of developing IT solutions in custom administration in Poland, and on the end I will make some short summary. I present my personal conclusions. So first important IT system in Poland is is Selena system. It is system used by some offices of custom administrations. The introduction of the system was in 2003. We prepared the system because of European Union accession. We were applying for the European Union, and it was one of the reasons why Poland must implement this system. But I think we create good capital for the future, especially that the trade was increasing in next year. So the system was very effective for us and very important to the owner of the information system is Ministry of Finance of Republic of Poland, and one of the biggest advantages of this system is that it's open interface, so the functionality can be easily expanded. And what else is especially important, because the system have 15 years, so it's the time of function of the system is pretty long. But if we change something, we develop the one system, and so the investigation which was made many years ago, it's still we don't need to investigate a lot of cost in the new system, and it's for us very important. The other system is Ishtar system, and this is like database of duty tariff. It's compatible with European Union EU tariff system, and it's like data source for Selena and other customs systems established in 2001. And what is also the important thing is that it is like we have one source of data in the system, and we can use this data in other systems. So it's a little bit like data warehouse, that we have one database and we use this data. So for us, for Polish Customs Administration, is also very important. What I would like to add that that everybody can use it. So it's not only for entrepreneurship usage. It's not only like Selena system which function only for customs administration, but everybody use this system. It's a little bit like EU tariff, yes. So so even if we want to check some our duties, our how much is our tax, our custom, we just go to browser and we check it during this system. And the other initiative is e-custom project. It is like package of legislative and organizational and operational solution. It was like a response for a European Union project, also named e-custom, but European project started in 2004. We start to implement it our project in 2008. We just create some group of experts from experts in custom administration, but also suppliers of this software, of softwares, and this group decided that we will year to year we will improve and implement different systems. So the all investigation was divided on different systems, different projects, and year to year we achieve some goals. What is one of the most important initiative in the framework of this project is that we have one portal, and we try to put to this portal all the systems. So before we needed to log in to different web pages to use some custom systems. Now we just open one browser, one portal called puesk.gov.pl, and then we just find very quickly links to different different systems. So it's very user friendly. All this investigation which we made was also, it was impossible to make, for example, this project without European Union fund. So majority of costs Poland refund from European Union. So also cooperation with Europe is for us very important. And on the end, I would like to make a conclusion. So what I would like to say, especially that if you have some project, if you want to make some software, especially in administration, we need to investigate a lot of money. It's like millions, sometimes it's even many millions dollars. And it's very important that this money need to be, on the end, this project need to be well done. Firstly, we create some group of experts, but usually we create experts. We create some. Okay, so we create software, for example, for users. But users are not only business, tax advisors, not only government, but users are also physical people. Even the people who travel want to use from the system. And when we create some needs, we make feasibility study. We need to also ask. Sometimes we need to create different group of experts, not only experts, but also travelers, also entrepreneurship. So it's important to talk with everybody, because on the end, we want to have the system which should be good done, and everybody want to use it. I told it because, for example, for me, Ishtar system have not perfect interface. When I was, for example, open the Ishtar system, I didn't saw it's user friendly. Yes, after when this Ishtar is implemented to this PUESK portal, I see that this interface is better for me, for normal person. So we need to implement it, our system, but the most important is to do it on the first. So I think that's all from my side. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Václav, for your research. And Václav is waiting for your questions, jury or audience. No, nobody? Nobody wants to ask. Okay, thank you. So let's meet next speaker. Her name is Tatiana Lugovskaya, Minsk, Belarus National Technical University. Let's meet her. Applause.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My topic is air passenger control, passenger data exchange, and biometric identification. So to begin with, I'd like to outline that the growth in air travel leads to evolving security threats and passengers being dissatisfied with queues and intrusive measures. It's challenging for the customs service, which traditional targeting techniques sometimes can be inadequate to properly manage the security risk posed by travelers. It's common knowledge that passenger data exchange is a key element on the way to a streamlined process, and it allows an individual to assert their identity to the required level at every process step, while maintaining the privacy of personal data. Passenger data exchange is electronic data concerning passengers' identity, advanced passenger information, or travel reservations, passenger name records, which is used by public authorities for border control. AP data is produced during check-in and includes all passport or identity data necessary to identify the passenger or crew member, as well as general information on the flight. PNR data refers to the records held by airlines for each flight booked by a passenger. This data makes it possible for all parties in the aviation sector to identify each passenger and to access all information about his or her trip, return flights, and so on. Besides, PNR data can be used for risk-based assessment of travelers about whom you may not have other AP information. Advanced passenger information is information related to biographical data. It can be provided electronically to government authorities in the state of arrival, departure, or transit. AP can be useful for immigration and customs authorities, for aviation security to assess the information of risks of unlawful interference before passengers step on the plane. AP data can be transmitted as a single manifest containing information about all passengers on a flight, or the data can be transmitted individually as passengers are checked in and receive their boarding passes. So batch AP is the simplest form of AP to implement. Carriers automatically transmit a single list with details for all persons for a given flight at a given time. All passengers' details are transmitted as a single data file or a batch. Since data is usually provided upon the closure of the flight boarding process, government intervention is limited to the time of arrival. So batch AP is designed originally for the control of arriving passengers by the destination or transit country. Data quality validation is limited to a batch process, and no real-time correction can be requested. I'm sorry, I forgot to slide it. Okay, that was it. Okay. That's okay. As an alternative to legacy batch style, under the batch style AP, interactive AP is used. Under this system, airlines provide passengers biographical data in real time on a passenger-by-passenger basis to the authorities while check-in is taking place. The authorities must then evaluate the data and determine if any issues can occur. Following this assessment, authorities send a board or do not board response to the airline, also in real time. Interactive AP systems are complicated and costly to implement for both governments and airlines, but they can bring tangible benefits. For instance, reduction for airlines in the number of inadmissible persons who are then required to be returned to their place of origin at the carrier's expense. PNR refers to information about passengers and their travel plans that are collected and stored in airline reservation systems at booking. A PNR may contain little information such as a name, an itinerary, some contact information, and a ticketed indicator. The name may not even correspond to the person's actual name as stated in the passport, because accuracy is not always necessary for reservations. However, sometimes PNRs contain vast amounts of information covering a wide range of issues relating to the person's special service requests, contact details, credit card information, and other data. AP and PNR data would bring the best result when combined with digital technologies. A facial recognition system is a technology capable of identifying or verifying a person's from an image or a video frame. The image taken by the cameras is then processed using facial recognition software. It scans a person's face and analyzes whether it matches against an image library of people considered as representing a risk. Iris recognition is an automated method of biometric identification. It uses mathematical pattern recognition techniques on video images of one or both of the irises of an individual's eyes, whose complex patterns are unique, stable, and can be seen from some distance. Iris recognition is most reliable from a form of biometric identification. It turns what used to be a slow process for travelers into a convenient, quick, and more secure experience. Biometric identification is carried out without human interference in the passenger line as they are moving at a walking speed. When the system identifies a passenger whose face matches the face of a target, a signal is sent to the customs officer on a duty, who will then approach the target and begin an inspection. The use of facial recognition tools is also particularly effective in case of involving fraudulent documents, since the facial characteristics of the target remain mostly unchanged even if he or she travels on false documents. Brazil and UAE became a bright example of effective using of passenger data exchange and biometric identification. In 2013, Brazil was preparing to host the 2014 World Cup and the 2016 Olympic Games. The Brazilian Customs Administrations started exploring ways to improve air passenger control in order to be able to effectively process the athletes and millions of tourists who were expected to attend or participate in these events. Two major investments were made by the Federal Revenue Service of Brazil: a risk assessment system that would enable AP and PNR to be processed, and a passenger facial recognition system. The implementation of new analytical tools to screen passengers in 2015 was a game changer, especially with regards to identifying travelers who fit drug smuggling profiles. There was an increase of more than 260% in drug seizures between 2014 and 2016, a record in the history of customs service. Other common crimes or offenses include the transport of undeclared cash, the illicit acquisition of cultural objects, and the smuggling of guns. As part of commitment to seamless travel, Dubai Airport has brought 100 biometric gates with facial and iris recognition technology in January of 2018. The kiosks contain a face and iris biometric capture device, which can be integrated into a variety of application solutions. It can identify passengers with 1 or 2 seconds, scanning the faces of travelers over a relatively short space, taking in their retinas and distinctive features as they move. Concerning the Republic of Belarus, from the 21st of June to the 30th of June, in 2019, will become a host of the second European Games. That is why international experience is very useful for forthcoming events. Coming to the conclusion, it should be pointed that the implementation of passenger data exchange and biometric identification systems at all airports of the world will significantly decrease smuggling and illegal immigration, while facilitating mutual assistance of customs authorities of different countries through the acquired information exchange. Thank you for your attention. I'm ready for your questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation, but the fundamental question from my side, how it's related to the customs matters? What is the relationship between border guard and customs in Belarus? And this situation is very good conclusion, proposals, but you have to pay attention on the political aspect and the selfish of each of border agencies which are involved in the control of the flow of passengers. In this situation, as I remember, I work with the Belarusian border guard and customs over 30 years. And I remember it's not so excellent relationship between them. Not from the personal relationship, but it's much more deeper. Its roots in legal aspects, because every of border, it's not only for Belarus, it's in all countries, it's the same situation. Each border service has specific regulation in which there are some requirements related to the exchange of information. How it is just right now and should be in the next year in Belarus. It's possible to make some, maybe not the big jump, but some political decision on the breakdown between these both border agencies, or not?
Thank you for a very interesting question. I think that this issue should be, of course, researched more deeply, but as far as I understood, this should be implemented through mutual assistance. So, of course, we have different bilateral agreements, and sometimes these agreements provide the security of information about their people. And, of course, sometimes there could be difficulties, but in general, I think that this problem can be solved. And as for me, I believe that some year we will come to a day when we can freely exchange all the data without without any problems for people, and we can save their information.
Are we done with the questions? Excuse me. I guess that's all we have. Yeah? Thank you once again for your presentation, Tatiana. We welcome to the stage another participant, and it's Anna Zimanenkova, Moscow, Russian Customs Academy.
I'm honored to greet everyone present. Let me introduce myself. My name is Anna, and I'm from Russian Customs Academy. And I'm willing to present the results of my research on the topic of the International North-South Transport Corridor. My colleague Marina has mentioned it. So I'd like to just put it simpler. How to handle it? just press? Yes? So I'd like to start with the relevance of my research, and just to give some definition of this, the International North-South Transport Corridor, or INSTC for short, is a multimodal transportation among the member states. So you can see the founders members and the other states that has joined this agreement. So the route constitutes an international supply chain model between the member states Iran, Azerbaijan, Russia, and India, encompassing ship, rail, and road transport. And the objective of this corridor is to increase trade connectivity between the major cities of our participant states. Formation of this corridor was initiated by Russia, by Federal Customs Service of our country, in order to implement Russia's strategic partnership with the countries of the Persian region and South Asia, and just to increase our relations with these countries. The ANSTC has several possible routes. From Mumbai, India, you could see this on the map, and ends in the St. Petersburg. And I'd like, and through such countries as India, of course, Iran, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and of course, Russia. So I'd like to put your attention on these several possible routes. The first one is the Trans-Caspian route that goes from, of course, India, and the difference of these routes is exactly on the Iranian and Azerbaijan territories. So the first route goes through the Iranian ports such as Nanzali, Nosheher, and Amirabad, and goes to the Russian ports Makhachkala, Ola, and Astrakhan. The next route is the East route. It's a direct railway that goes through such countries as Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Kazakhstan. I've put the main cities that goes, road goes through these cities and ends only exactly in the Astrakhan port. The next route is the new East route. It's honestly, it's just an update East route that was made a little bit shorter in comparison to the East route, and it goes only through the Turkmenistan and Kazakhstan and ends, as I've mentioned before, in Astrakhan port. And the last one, but not the least, it's the west route that goes from the Iranian territory through such called Astara Railway. It's two self-titled cities on the Iranian territory and the territory of Azerbaijan, and ends, as I already mentioned, in the Russian ports. So the next what I'd like to talk to is the advantages. So let's proceed to these advantages of this international transport corridor. Corridor plays an important role in building up the trade between all countries, and not just economic advantages such transit revenues, but also geopolitical advantages are obviously in line for all these countries. Following as the main advantages on the screen, they distress theses. I'd like to explain a little bit them. The Asian and European countries can exchange their goods with a double speed between through this corridor. Also, the establishment of the economic and cultural links between our countries, as well as formation of new global markets, will promote the increasing the trade between states. ANSTC, I have to mention this important moment. The ANSTC is the most important and most suitable ring of transit of goods between the Asia and Europe. As you can see on this map, the previous road is much more longer and takes much more costs. And the last but not the least, yes, I'd like to give you a digit about these costs. The transportation through the ANSTC is 30% cheaper in comparison to the Suez Channel. And here on the slide, you can see the table as it provides the analytical comparison of time and cost indicators through the Suez Channel, the red line, and the ANSTC, the blue line. If you need any comments, I'll give it after my presentation, just not to take a time. And just to put it simply, I just want to give you the examples and talk about the development of the ANSTC. So let's just imagine that there is a product that goes from the India to Russia. The product always has 2 points of movement. At the beginning of transportation, when it comes from the country of export, India, and when it ends to a certain country of import, it's, for example, Russia. And when the product leaves the country of export, its parameters are registered as the Indian customs, as well as other, for example, such parameters are product code, export value, etc. They are on the screen. And our customs services could exchange this data online, just to in case to promote the facilitation of customs formalities and simplify the customs control passage. Also, talking about the development of the INSTC, I'd like to add that in December 2015, the Federal Customs Service of Russia initiated the meeting of custom experts, you can see them on the slide, on the development of the INSTC. And within the issue, there is a feasible prospect of concluding a multilateral agreement on mutual recognition of customs results of customs control. And that will help exactly that I've mentioned before, facilitation of customs formalities and passage through the customs control. And here these countries that have any opportunities for the signing this agreement and for integration, for the further integration among them. And at the beginning of this year, several shipments were made along this corridor in both directions as pilot project, and I'd like to simplify them. Yes. And the first consignment of goods from Iran or from India to St. Petersburg was made through this corridor, and the multimodal route, road and rail. Yes, road and rail. They passed through the Bandar Abbas. It's an Iranian port that's connected, online connected with the Mumbai port, and goes through the Baku in Azerbaijan. So through the west road of several possible roads of it. And the addition of this, in addition, the next road from Russia to India was loaded about 300 tons of wood and passed through the so-called Astra Railway. I told about that when there was an explanation about several roads at all. So I'd like to give you my personal vision about the importance of international transport corridors in general, and particularly about the INSTC. International transport corridors play a crucial role in expanding the intergovernmental cooperation. Today, the INSTC promotes the increase of high traffic and the high-quality logistic services. It's one of the most important things about the creation of such projects, about the signing such agreement, because each country wants to have a high trade with their neighbors, with their other member states of the NX agreement. And one of the most suitable and important things is to make this trade simpler. So create such corridors, such channels through which countries could exchange their goods with double speed. And also such projects, as any targeted projects, have requirements of signing and of creation such projects. And I've gave you several. And my opinion is that one of the most and one of the main thing, I think, is the significant investment. Countries must find money and must find investment for creation and for implementation and elaboration of these projects. So I'm through with my presentation. Thank you for your kind attention, and I'd love to answer any of your questions. Thank you.
So no questions, yes? You, Olga, please.
Thank you very much for your presentation. And the question is about customs cooperation between customs administration of this project. What is the purpose of the mutual recognition of customs control results? You mentioned that special agreement will be signed. Thank you.
It's just some kind of form of cooperation between customs services of different countries. And mutual recognition agreement of the results of customs control will help to facilitate and simplify customs control passage, so that reducing the time through which the countries, for example, can go through their borders. And also there is some moment like the products and companies from this country, for example, the Iran, they will go through the customs control in first line. So they will be the first who will passage this control. It's some kind of the advantages of this agreement. Have you answered? Thank you.
It was brilliant research. Thank you, Anna, so much. So our next speaker is Vladislav Shpilevsky, Minsk, the Republic of Belarus, Belarus State University.
Good afternoon, everybody. I represent the Belarusian State University Faculty of International Relations, and I would like to clarify a very practical issue, economic rationale of the overestimation of customs value. Customs value of imported good is used mainly for the purposes of applying ad valorem rates of customs duties, monitoring quantitative restrictions, applying preferences, and so on. Generally, it constitutes a taxable basis for applying value-added tax, excises, and customs duties. And I suppose for all of us it's clear that the amount of payments which is due to the budget depends on customs value. That is why a large number of economic operators try to find the way to lessen this taxable basis, and customs authorities try to keep abreast with the times to prevent tax evasion. Have you ever thought that overestimation of customs value could be also beneficial for market participants? And actually, yes, yes, it can. And in order to prove it, I will help you to look through three the main schemes of overestimation of customs value. Firstly, we should say that there are several prerequisites that make such type of manipulation reasonable. The first and the most important one is reducing other taxes payable afterwards. Let's have a look at practical example. For example, a domestic operator is importing like a battery charge. He has agreed with his foreign partner to employ broker-dealer services. According to the contract, the sum of money is 4,800 rubles, but in reality it will be 4,000 rubles. It means that 800 rubles is kept abroad. Then, supposing the rate of customs duty is 5%, and then the good is retailed at the price of 7,000 rubles. So you can see on the second stage, economic operator consciously pays a little bit more customs duties and import VAT. I would like to pay your attention that value-added tax is payable by credit. It means that value-added tax, which is paid while selling the product, goes to the budget, and value-added tax, which was paid while crossing the border, and informally we call it import VAT, is due to credit. So, in fact, the sum of money which goes into the Republican budget is the difference between output VAT and import VAT. And as you can see on the second case, is a little bit lower. Thirdly, I would like to pay your attention that foreign economic operator will pay tax on income. And as you can see, on the second case is much lower. And this is the primary objective, the primary goal of overestimation of customs value. And here you can see the rate of tax on income, 18%. It's taken from legislation of Belarus, but it's such problem is common for all members of the Eurasian Economic Union. Only rates are different, but the principle is the same. So the total amount of payment is reduced, as you can see. Sorry. This is the whole table. And overestimation of customs value in Russia Federation is also a common customs violation, but the target of such manipulation could be a little bit different. It allows you to offshore some financial resources. For example, our domestic operator sets up a company abroad. It could be a country, it should be a country with low tax rates. For example, Malta, Cyprus, whatever. And this offshore company buys some product at very low price, for example, $5 per one battery charge. And then this company sells its product to our domestic operator, but the price will be much higher. So it means that in this case, $45 is kept abroad in offshore company. Such cases are very hard to bring to justice as formally business community acts within legislation. And thirdly, this scheme is more popular in Eurasian Economic Union than in any other members. It's overestimation of customs value as a means in competitive fighting. What does it mean? For example, some importers specifying intentionally higher customs value in order to create barriers for others. It means that customs value of $75 will be kept in information base of customs authorities, and next time when someone will cross the border with the same product, he will be asked for adjustment of their customs value as it will be thought to be underestimated. And so I think the results of my presentation is clear. There are several grounds, there are several prerequisites that make such type of manipulation as overestimation of customs value possible. The first one is reducing tax on income and value-added tax, which is payable afterwards. The second one is the instrument in offshoring financial resources. And the last but not least, overestimation of customs value as an illegal instrument in competitive fighting. So thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me.
No more questions? Oh, I guess it was perfect then. Thank you once again. So our next participant is Arina Utkina, Russian Federation, St. Petersburg, ITMO University. Please welcome.
Good afternoon, dear jury, participants, and guests of the conference. The theme of my research is the improvement of organization of customs control and carrying out customs control of sea vessels and goods at their arrival on the customs territory of the Eurasian Economic Union. The Customs Service of the Russian Federation pays special attention to improvement of transport of goods by sea vessels. So new technologies are being developed to improve software and the infrastructure of ports. Acceleration and simplification of process of customs operations and carrying out customs control of goods moved by sea will allow business to reduce the time and money required for cross-border transportation of goods. The customs bodies of the Russian Federation are working on the transition to electronic declaration of goods and vehicles with provision of pre-arrival information. The relevance of work is that sea transport remained the only type of transport where it was still not obligatory to provide pre-arrival information. The introduction of pre-arrival information for sea vessels and goods moved by them is carried out within the framework of a software package, the Sea Portal. Its main goal is to provide a single window technology and to ensure that there is a comprehensive information exchange between participants of cross-border transportations of goods, port services, customs, and other public control authorities. Since the 1st of May 2017, in all seaports of the region of activity of the Northwestern Customs Office, the Seaport Portal software package has been used for experiments, which you can see on the slide. The system was used last year for 5,331 vessel documentation packages. There are a number of problems which prevent effective introduction of technology of pre-arrival information for goods moved by sea transport. One of the main mistakes connected with the introduction of pre-arrival information on sea transport is making the carrier responsible for providing a full and reliable pre-arrival information. The cargo carrier has to request independently all data on the goods transported in containers. It is true that the carrier has a commercial relationship with the consignee, but it is impossible to forget about the fact that between these two links there can be also a forwarding agent. Thus, it's quite difficult for carriers to obtain the necessary information. At the moment, captains of ships can have legal proceedings brought against them for an administrative offense if they provide less than 50% of pre-arrival information about transported freight, even though their main task is simply the transportation of freight from point A to point B. In practice, containers on which pre-arrival information has not been provided automatically fall under the risk management system. That fact considerably increases the time of customs registration of freights rather than reducing it. Moreover, pre-arrival information has to be reliable in the maximum degree, but in fact, data on the transported goods is not available to the carrier from the declaration of goods produced at the last port of loading. All the above-mentioned problems can be solved by applying the experiments of the Finnish customs authorities and their software of Portnet, where responsibility for introduction of pre-arrival information is shared between participants of a cargo chain. So the cargo carrier enters information on the vessel, freight, existence or absence on the vessel of dangerous freights. The consignee, having information on the name of the vessel, dates, and port of his arrival, can find the container in the system and enter the necessary information. If the entered pre-arrival information is checked by the customs inspector, then a registration number is assigned to it, which subsequently the consignee can use in the customs declaration. Solving that problems and implementing the proposed solutions will allow participants of a cargo chain to get the maximum benefit from the introduction of a seaport portal system. Improvement of movement goods by means of sea vessels is obviously important both for customs authorities and for the participants of foreign trade activities, as this activity can be considered one high priority for both parties. For customs authorities, formation of revenues of the federal budget of the state, and for participants of foreign trade activities, considerable reduction of costs for the transport of goods. This is the end of my research. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Irina. Any questions? Hey, thank you. Thank you very much. Our next participants are Raisa Kuzmichova and Anastasia Lebedeva, St. Petersburg, Russian Customs Academy, St. Petersburg branch. Please welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Raisa Kuzmichova.
And my name is Anastasia Lebedeva.
And the topic of our research is information exchange in seaports, Russian and foreign experience. The aim of our research is to evaluate the effectiveness of the system Seaport Portal by means of foreign experience.
So, one of the most important strategic elements of the transport infrastructure, as we think, is the system of seaports of Russian Federation, which accounts for the largest share of cargo turnover. According to the data of the Association of Sea Commercial Ports, trade operations with consumers at the subsequent day make up nearly 800 million tons. As the main problem of ensuring the maximum efficiency of the international shipping system by sea transport, it is possible to single out the absence of a unified database with common access to information both for participants in foreign economic activity and for officials of federal executive bodies.
Therefore, it becomes necessary to create such system that maximize the cross-functional interaction of these institutions. The basis of this system would be based on a single window system, which allows participants in foreign economic activity to enter all information about compliance with export, import, and transit requirements only once in one place, and thereby simultaneously would provide a simplified and accelerated exchange information between participants in the cross-border movement of goods and cargo.
So in 2014, a special software package was introduced, and it was called the Seaport Portal. This software product is a single information platform that unites stewards, sea carriers, and stage control bodies. The version is integrated with the information system of Border Guard Service of the Federal Security Service of Russia, Federal Service for Veterinary and Phytosanitary Surveillance, and Federal Service for Surveillance on Consumer Right Protection and Human Well-being.
The technology provides for a step-by-step provision of information about the goods, cargo, and the vessels by interested person, and carries at different stages of the technological process as information is received and documents are prepared. The object of automation should be the information interaction of shipping participants, as well as integrates information interaction of the customs bodies of the Federal Customs Services of Russia with other state control bodies and port administration during customs control, and also other types of state control at the arrival and departure of sea vessels and the goods. It is assumed that every participant can transmit information, receive information, or be simultaneously the source and recipient of information at different stages and in the process procedures. Portal Seaport allows the provision of preliminary information of goods and a package of electronic documents and information on the planned arrival of sea and river vessels on the territory of Economic Eurasian Union, and the provision of documents necessary for their departure.
However, the goals that were set for this program were not realized. Single window doesn't work properly. Nowadays, all the information that comes through the system is not integrated with other programs. Carriers continue to enter the same information into various information systems. Moreover, a paper package of documents is still provided, but the main goal was to completely abandon it. The planned feedback is not available, and there is no information on the decisions of the customs on the arrival permit. The software doesn't meet the requirements not only sea carriers, but also stewards, declarants, and customs officials themselves. Permits must be obtained in different places in paper form. Moreover, the single window couldn't even integrate with the customs software. The preliminary information of the goods sent to the portal does not cancel the submission of the goods declaration, whereby the customs officials take the basic decisions related to the control, whether it is an additional check or customs inspection. A preliminary declaration can be used as preliminary information, but only unilateral, because the portal doesn't provide the information necessary for the unloading cargoes.
For customs authorities, the main advantage of such software would be creation of a risk management system related to the arriving goods, which will help to determine in advance the necessary forms of customs control and speed up the process of customs clearance. But Seaport Portal doesn't provide it. Consequently, the project of Seaport Portal cannot be implemented in practice. Resorting to the numerous problems, from our point of view, the rational decision is to address to foreign experience. At present time, German ports have the best information system in Europe. The administration of Hamburg in second part of 20th century made a non-standard decision to unite competing participants of port business into a single structure and implement the principles of centralized management. Such a structure has become the COSI system, the main task of which was to eliminate the imbalance of port structures through the introduction of new principles of their information interaction. At present, the use of the DACOSI goes far beyond the Hamburg and already integrates the accounting information system in the port from Rotterdam to Antwerp. A special information portal was created in the DACOSI system so that the freight forward had the opportunity to book a berth and access roads at the right time, organize the delivery of vehicles, or apply for stevedore services. Today, it pays through a huge flow of information from numerous customers from around the world that handle more than 130 freight forwards, and using the university interface system DACOSI, manage supply chain involving about 500 transport companies. As a result, freight forwards began to manage freight traffic on a vast territory. In particular, if it is possible to take cargo into one of the 6 ports of the northwest coast of Europe, it's quickly redirected to others. With simultaneous notification of the cargo route and rail transport that meets the cargo. The core of DACOSI is the central database, which allows to accumulate and process the information flow between all involved parties.
So within the system there are 3 application programs. The first one is the operational information system of the railway port, connecting the systems of transport sector of seaports with similar systems on the German railway. It is called HABIS, and it transmits information electronically about all railway transport entering and exiting the port so that information can go quickly. The second one is an information system for dangerous goods in the port of Hamburg, which is called GEGIS. And the third one is a system for electronic monitoring of export customs in a paperless port, which is called ZEP. It is set to provide all participants in export process electronic communication with the Hamburg customs through the DACOSI system.
Thus, seeing the results of successful implementation of software abroad, we get that it is necessary to refine the system of the seaport portal based on the experience of Germany. But we need to take into account the features of our economy. To improve the system using the advantages of the DACOSI system, it is necessary to allow customs officials to fill in the missing information, to integrate seaport portal with other information system in order to avoid re-entering data, to establish feedback and pay special attention to informing about the decision taken by the customs permission for mooring, loading, and reloading.
So thank you for your attention.
So speakers are waiting for your questions. No. Oh, thank you. Yes, love.
How it's possible to use this experience from Hamburg port and the experience from Vladivostok special zone to the other seaports in Russia? Because it's totally different legal system in both countries, despite this fact that both countries are in the customs union, on European Union, Eurasian Union. Is it possible to use this experience?
We understand your question. We just mean the use only IT technologies. We need to know how they make their software, especially not how to prepare it for our economy or for this economy, just to use their special programs in these portals, because our system yes, doesn't work properly, and we need to check why their port works and why ours not. So DACOSI has the core of the system and has 3 lines which delegate the functioning of this system. So it's like example how we need to create our system, our seaport portal, and also don't forget about
it's okay from technical point of view, it's no problem, but political and legal, that it's for Vladivostok port and special economic zone, it's different legislation that for the, or another, for example, in Kaliningrad.
Yes, but the system should be structured. I understood you, but I can't explain it because.
What's your recommendation for politicians?
For politicians, to be polite to each other, to listen to each other, maybe, and I don't know how to see.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for your research again. Yes. So let's welcome next speaker. His name is Alexander Pulin, Russian Federation, St. Petersburg, Russian Customs Academy, St. Petersburg branch.
So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce my research, quality management of customs services in modern conditions. So to begin with, the development of consumption of services in the highly developed countries is a significant event of the beginning of the 21st century. Consumption of services begins to prevail over the consumption of material goods. Strengthening the processes of globalization and the intensification of international commodity exchange make it urgent to form the environment of customs services. With the beginning of active integration of the country in the world economic space, the task arose of increasing the investment attractiveness of Russia. The struggle for information transparency of various segments of domestic business was also affected by the customs sector. So, all we know with you the concept of customs service, and customs service can be considered by can be considered in a broad in a narrow sense, and you can see it in the slide here. So the quality of the customs service will be assessed by the customer. That is stated in two main areas. The first one, it is the effectiveness of solving tasks to fulfill the fiscal function, appeal against the results of decisions taken by customs authorities. And of course, one of the most important long-term goals is the desire to improve the quality of services provided by customs authorities, reduce the costs of participants in foreign trade activities, and the state associated with customs clearance and control. And so, in this slide, there are 10 basic rules for the quality of customer service. The rules are a list of provisions. These provisions should be followed by those who provide the services. And so the first one, it is quality of service standards. Second one, equality, diversity, physical accessibility, information, timelines and punctuality, complaints, appeals, consultation and evaluation, choice, and the last one is better coordination. Yeah, yeah, and there are three directions for assessing the quality of custom services, and you can see them in the slide. So the need for the need for the development of the public services sector in the field of customs is conditioned by the tendencies of administrative reform in the Russian Federation, as well as by the adoption of the customs code of the unified energy system, which has not yet officially formalized, but consolidated the ideological foundations aimed at improving the provided services in the field of customs administration, state services in the field of customs, improving the system of public services provided to participants in foreign economic activity, is aimed at expanding their range, improving quality and accessibility with the external simplicity, efficiency, and reliability. And so here you can see target indicators of this direction of development of the customs service of the Russian Federation. And the first one, it is the share of participants in foreign economic activity that satisfactorily assess the quality of the provision of public services by customs authorities in the total number of respondents, from 30% in 2012 to 70% by 2020. And the second one, it is the share of public services provided by the Federal Customs Service in electronic form in accordance with the administrative regulations for which it is possible to receive them electronically in the total volume of public services provided by the Federal Customs Service, from 1% in 2012 to 100% by 2014. And to conclude, I would like to say that based on the above, it is possible to propose recommendations on improving the mechanisms for managing customs services. So it is necessary to fix normatively the concept of quality of customs service, which can lay the foundation for modernization of the whole system of customs authorities. And the second one, it is improving the organizational process of monitoring customs services. So thanks for your attention. I'm ready to answer your questions.
Yeah, please, of course.
Presentation. Thank you very much. And maybe you know that in the customs business theory there is a point of view that customs provides end state services for trade operator, for people. So what do you think about the statement customs control? Is it a service or is it a function of the state?
So thank you for your thank you for your question. So my opinion that it is maybe service because so it is only my opinion. This one so. Because I think that well, because customs plays a big role in the means a lot in the whole state, and I don't think that it can be something more that service. And so my opinion that it is service. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's time for us to announce our next participant. Thank you very much, Alexander. Applause, please. So our next speaker is Valentina Bogacheva, Russian Federation. So yeah, our next speaker is Valentina Bogacheva, Tyumen State University, Russian Federation. Please welcome.
Good afternoon. I study at the Tyumen State University. The theme of my work, application practice of regulation state non-tariff measures in international trade. At the same time, developing countries use non-tariff barriers to protect domestic production of effective development, in some countries up to 40% of total imports. There are many classifications of non-tariff regulatory measures, but are recognized and basic classification system developed by the WTO and the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, which includes para-tariff measures, financial, technical measures, and etc. We carried and comprehensive analysis of non-tariff regulations applied in practice such major trade players as the USA, China, the European Union, and the and the Russian Federation. On the basis of this date was compiled analytical table, which you now see on the screen. Based on the analysis non-tariff measures of state regulation, we formulated the following conclusion. In the European Union for last 3 years, there was a significant change in the number of sanitary and phytosanitary measures has increased more than 3 times from 33 to 133 measures. Table 2 shows the categories of goods for which the European Union applies anti-dumping measures. In conclusion, the European Union, according to the WTO 2018, the anti-dumping measures in relation to the pipe industry production, ferrosilicon, and some types of called rolled sheet and hot transformator steel and foil. The most common and effective sales stores in the United States over the years, as well as in the European Union, remain anti-dumping and countervailing measures. Currently, the USA authorities use several anti-dumping measures on the product categories presented in Table 3. It is often initiated regimens for anti-dumping investigation in respect of exporters of various countries, which often leads to conflict with the individual states. Non-tariff imports control measures are widely used in the export of Chinese products. China's ministry annually approves quotas for export of 11 types of goods: rice, corn, coal, crude oil, and distributes them between border provinces and autonomous regions. Based on the foregoing, I would like to conclude that any use of non-tariff barriers should be non-discriminatory and be limited. The import of any goods countries that introduce such a restriction should strive to keep existing before the introduction of restriction on the proportion of trade with other countries. Despite the WTO to reduce the number of implied non-tariff regulation of foreign economic activity of the recommendations, the measures applied in the Russian Federation to the full in order to protect the national economic compliance with international security, the protection of land and health of people. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Valentina. Any questions too? No questions. So thank you. Our next speaker is Ruslan Aksanov, Russian Federation, Samara State Technical University. Let's meet. Yeah.
Gentlemen, the topic of my presentation is possibilities to harmonize professional standards in the customs service, national and international component. So here we can see the goal, the problem, and the relevance of this presentation. Now I'm going to tell you about the development strategy of the customs service of the Russian Federation until 2020. According to it, the main strategic focus is maintaining economic stability in the field of foreign economic activity of the Russian Federation. And we must not forget that today customs officials are more than just customs experts. They must have a deep knowledge in economic policy of countries participating in foreign economic activity. And now we can see the official data of the FCS of Russia regarding the customs service staff capacity. It is a very big problem because nearly a half of customs officials have education not directly related to performance on the job. Only 3% of customs officials have customs education. 24% have law degrees and 26% have economic degrees. In respect to the presented data on educational potential of customs officials, the targeted indicators of the integrated program of the development of FCS of Russia until 2020 seem well-founded. According to this program, by 2020, 33.6% of customs officials must receive additional professional education in the sphere of customs service. And now, for PCAT standards, targeted indicators for enhancing staff capacity are also harmonized with international tendencies. Therefore, in 2005, PCAT was initiated. While establishing general objectives and functions of customs bodies, the Customs Code of the Eurasian Economic Union determines that rights and duties of customs bodies are established by legislations of member states of the Eurasian Economic Union. Thus, each of member states establishes qualification requirements independently. To address the identified contradictions and to achieve consensus in job requirements for customs staff, it is proposed to rely on PCAT standards. It should also be noted that national customs regulations of the Russian Federation contain legal acts which help solve this problem. Here on this slide, we can see staff of customs bodies of Russia. Staff of customs bodies of the Russian Federation includes the customs officials, federal state servants of customs bodies, and public sector employees. We can make a conclusion that it's necessary to limit the study of the problem of professional standards to only one category. A number of studies conducted in the field of economic theory of customs clearly show that economic activity is one of the main activities in the customs service. This makes it possible to limit the object of our study to economic activity. So, another argument for choosing this category of staff is the handbook of qualification requirements. I should also mention that national legislation of the Russian Federation in the field of social and labor relations sufficiently takes into account modern tendencies influencing organization and management activity of the customs service. And also, Russian legislation must be included while developing a unified professional standard for customs officials. Functioning of the customs service is ensured by external and internal factors. The study made it possible to systemize normative documents of international, national, and supranational levels, which determine modern directions and requirements for work of customs officials. But of course, the list is not exhaustive. It will be refined in future researches. Therefore, in conclusion, I must say that it is fundamentally important for every Eurasian Economic Union member state to conduct detailed examination of national regulations in the field of standard setting of qualification requirements for customs officials. Thank you for your attention. So, will there be any questions?
No questions? No more. Thank you, Ruslan. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our final presentation for today. Please welcome to the stage Nikolai Nikiforov, Samara State Technical University.
Good afternoon, friends, colleagues, and respected jury, of course. My name is Nikolai Nikiforov, and I'm first-year student from Samara Polytech. I'm glad to greet you here at the Customs Conference. I understand that everybody has tired, and I'll try to be faster. The title of my presentation is Two-Factor Model of Levying Customs Payments on Individuals Transporting Goods Across the Customs Border. One of the important issues of statistical analysis of customs payments is a set of factors influencing them. In scientific literature, there are a lot of classifications forming factors, which include only those circumstances that affect the collection customs payments in foreign trade to NOVA and in no way concern transport goods by individuals. And that's why I take this theme. On the other hand, mathematical modeling is modern scientific direction that provides the deeper understanding of the essence of existing processes. It also helps to analyze the functioning and to manage effectively the behavior of production and economic objects and systems. Consider the two-factor production function with extremely aggregated characteristics, which is most commonly used for simulation mathematical modeling of production and economic systems. The two-factor production function is determined in general form by the dependence 1. Aggregation of characteristics is widely used for designing models and meets up-to-date ideas concerning the methodology of mathematical modeling of real processes. For the process under study, we use Cobb-Douglas production function with one output and two input inputs. Let's develop a model as production function, which consists of amount of customs payments levied on individuals, import value, import volume, scale factor, and elasticity coefficients. Elasticity coefficients, according to Formula 3, numerically characterize the impact of import value and import volume on the amount of customs payments levied on individuals. Elasticity coefficients alpha 1 and alpha 2 show the change in terms of percentage with an increase of import volumes by 1%. We assume alpha 1 and alpha 2 in the model 2 to be constant. Next, we algorithmically obtain a linear equation with relative variables. In this slide, you can see statistical data for the whole process under study. Using them, we identify the parameters of the model, and we use least square method also. Sorry. As an identification criterion, we apply the minimum of quadratic deviation of the model values from the real data. And the quality of the model and its parameters is determined by values of the determination coefficients R2, student t-test, Fisher's ratio test, and the root mean square deviation, and Durbin-Watson model. This picture shows you graphic comparison of model calculations and real data. Data analysis showed that approximate properties of the model determined by the determination coefficients R2 that characterize the intercorrelation between the experimental data and calculation data are reasonable for description of customs payments levied on individuals. The importance of this indicator is confirmed by the value of the Fisher's ratio test. Calculation error in the linear dependence is unacceptably high. It's 17.7%, but the t-statistic indicates the terms the authenticity of obtained model parameters. The coefficients obtained indicate that not all principal factors of the economic process have been considered, and the model should be supplemented with influencing factors. So the conclusions. Here you can see values of identified model parameters from 2015 to 2017 for experimental statistical data. The parameter alpha 1 characterizes the elasticity of the value, and its growth by 1% leads to an increase for 0.25%. The volume is characterized by alpha 2, and its increase by 1% leads to the significant increase in customs payments, 1.84%. Consequently, importation by individuals in volume as a specific component of customs duties has the greatest impact on the revenues in the federal budget. And summarizing the results of modeling, we can draw the following conclusions, which are represented on this slide. If I have any time else, I want to answer to Mr. Chizevich question in advance about my opinion of this problem. I think that it is very progressive and perspective issue, and it's need to develop and need to improve, and others. Thank you for attention.
Thank you very much. Any questions on Nikolai's presentation? I guess. Thank you, Nikolai, once again.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first day of the 5th International Youth iCustoms Conference is coming to an end. We want to thank all our participants for their presentations.
Special thanks to our listeners for their attentiveness.
We are looking forward to meeting you all tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Our invited experts are ready to share their valuable knowledge with you during the roundtable. Excuse me.
The second conference day will be ended with the iCustoms awarding ceremony and the meeting of the ICSA members. Please follow the information of the conference program. Dear participants, please meet with your guides to discuss the cultural program in the format of a walking tour around the center of the city. You can find them near the exit of the assembly hall.
Before our conference jury starts their hard work on evaluation of the student research presentations, we invite everyone to come to the front and take a group photo. So please come in front if you want. We welcome everyone. Please.
We got champagne and vodka. Those will be if they need a problem. Fuck niggas, hate real niggas, get money. All motherfucking day. Baby, drop it to the ground like yes, bitch. Back it up like yes, bitch. After the club, I'll smash it. We'll go both
Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.